Was that a yes?
I didn't hear him.
We're good.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we'll call the council meeting to order. Everybody stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, take the roll.
Mayor O'Connor.
Here.
Morissette.
Here.
Wakefield.
Here.
Knutson.
Here.
Kennedy.
Here.
Brooke.
Here.
Hall.
Here.
All right, first thing up is comments from citizens present. So this is your opportunity to speak about anything that is not on tonight's agenda, things that affect the city. You must be a resident of the city in order to speak. If you do have a comment you'd like to make, please come forward to the podium, identify yourself, give your address. Please try to keep your comments brief, maybe 2 minutes. Do not repeat other people's comments. All right, so who's first up?
Me. I'm Addison Filiatro. I live in downtown Hudson. Thank you for letting me speak. I love my community and this Golden Rule City with all my heart. I disagree with some people, but that doesn't make them any less of a citizen of Hudson than anyone else. And in Hudson, we help out our neighbors in times of crisis. I've seen it time and time again. That is what makes this community so special. Although news stations are primarily focused on the Twin Cities, ICE is very active in Hudson. They have taken multiple people without due process, and I saw one with my own eyes last week as they blocked off the street. ICE is not law enforcement. We need help from real local law enforcement in our local neighborhoods that are being targeted. We have an ICE program page on our police page, and we are the only ones in 2 counties that have it. I am asking that we stop working with them immediately and remove it. Chief Willems, your staff is trained in de-escalation. From what I have seen, these out-of-towners pretending to be law enforcement agents are severely undertrained and are actually escalating situations. We have little kids crying at the bus stops and friends trapped in their homes, unable to work due to ICE terrorizing them. As a teacher in St. Paul, where we are closed this week due to ICE, I know how scared they are and hear it every day. I know you care about our kids, so please help by patrolling the hotbed areas because you are the people that are trained officers. ICE is not our friend and they are not here to keep us safe, but the Hudson PD is. I am also begging the City Council to direct our police to stop giving citations for unlicensed driving if no other law has been broken. Many immigrants have licenses in their home country, but literally have no way to get a license in Wisconsin. This prevents them from going to work, disrupts our economy, and it puts them into the court system so ICE can track down their homes and stalk them. I do not think that is your intent because as stated in emails from 2020, you only want violent people out of your community. These people that citations are being given to are not violent and are everyday people that are just trying to get to work. And finally, please ensure our codes are up to date so no buildings can be converted to a detention center. That is how Woodbury kept the ICE detention center out. The time is now to do what we can as a local government against the federal government. No more hand-wringing what we can't do anything because we can. We love our neighbors, we love our community, and I know you will do what is right because having worked on and off with all of you over the past several years, I know you are good people, and I know you will uphold our Golden Rule City.
All right. So we've got a long agenda here tonight. There's going to be quite a few speakers, I'm sure. Please withhold your applause. We'd like to get through this as quickly as we can. Go ahead.
All right. My name is Kristen Emerson. Live up at high school. If you want to know what you would have done in Nazi Germany when the Gestapo were taking the Jews, you're doing it now. According to Martin Luther King, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter, and he who passively accepts evil is as much involved in it as he who helps perpetrate it. Now stop and think for a moment about how those words fit in the context of a Golden Rule City. What actions are you, the leaders of this Golden Rule City, taking to make the statement that Hudson will not stand for ICE terrorizing our community members? Kids are crying at the bus stops. They're not going to school. They are afraid. As I'm sure you know, Azul has closed due to ICE's unlawful and continual harassment, which includes sitting in the parking lot for hours and using drones to surveil the area. They have also removed staff who are here legally. They detained them in a detention center for hours before even asking for their paperwork. The citizens in our community who believe that ICE is actually removing dangerous criminals from our streets. I ask, where have all these murderers and rapists been? Where have these burglaries been happening? And why didn't we hear about them until now? I think we all know the truth. There is no violent crime that we are being protected from in this scenario. You know what is happening though? Unlike in Minnesota, Wisconsin, undocumented people aren't able to get a driver's license. So as they drive to work to support their families and support the well-established businesses in this town, they are being racially profiled and pulled over by our own police department. They are being ticketed for traffic violations, and lo and behold, they become one of the big dangerous criminals in our community that our community needs to be saved from. There is a right side of history and a wrong side of history, and anyone who knowingly adds names to a criminal database based on driving without a license is on the wrong side. You would have been the neighbor showing the Gestapo where to find the Jewish family. So back to the members of our community. Yesterday morning, a GoFundMe call went out to support the employees of Azul. They asked for only $5,000, which can't possibly be enough to support rent and food for all of these people. Before I went to bed last night, they had over $6,000. They had nearly $8,000 when I checked today. Our community is stepping up and supporting this restaurant. Our community wants to step up and be supportive. And it's not okay that these people are terrified to leave their house. Our community is demonstrating empathy and embodying the golden rule. My question is this: as a certified golden rule city, this council and our police department have an opportunity to clearly stand behind those words. Here are the things that I think you could do. Number one, make a public statement with no tolerance for ICE and no support of ICE. Number two, consider financial support for the businesses and families who are economically impacted, whether they're detained and need to be bailed out or they can't pay their rent. Number three, do not ticket unlicensed drivers who are simply trying to get to work. Number four, create a strong police patrol presence in high impacted areas, such as the living areas near Aldi and west of that. Create literature informing businesses and residents what their rights are, posted around town and in our newspaper. Number six, partner with surrounding communities to create a united front and to create a safety net for those in need. Number seven, do whatever needs to be done with zoning so that there is zero chance of our city using any existing buildings or properties as a detention area. Number eight, patrol arrival and dismissal at schools to ensure the youngest members of our community feel safe. And along with, I can't read my own writing here, patrol vulnerable areas like bus stops. I started out by reminding you that this is a real world trial that demonstrates exactly how you would have behaved in Nazi Germany. So most of us are not perpetrators. As Addison said, you are good people, we are good people, but are we bystanders? We can't be bystanders, okay? We have to stand up, we have to be upstanders, we have to speak out and get ICE out. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Again, please don't interrupt with applause.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Robinson. I've been a resident of Hudson for over 20 years. I've always known I've been outnumbered politically here, but what is happening now is no longer a conservative versus liberal issue. This is a moral one. It's about good versus evil. History does not judge communities by how comfortable they were. It judges them by what they tolerated. And Hudson is a small city with very little racial or cultural diversity, and that fact matters. When a community rarely sees the people being harmed, it becomes easy to deny the harm. When most residents are insulated from raids, detention, and family separation, cruelty is dismissed as someone else's problem. That is how injustice survives. We are told that ICE is simply enforcing the law. That excuse has been used before, most infamously by the Nazis. They did not begin with death camps. They began with registries, raids, detentions, and the systematic dehumanization of a targeted group, all justified as legal and necessary. ICE operates with the same logic. Masked agents, secretive operations, community reports of ICE vehicles speeding through neighborhoods, ignoring speed limits, and running people off the road. People are taken from homes and workplaces, families torn apart, human beings reduced to the label illegal, so the public is encouraged not to care. This is not public safety, this is state-sanctioned terror. And in a place like Hudson, where many residents will never personally face ICE, there is a particular moral danger. Silence is not neutrality. It is comfort choosing not to look. It is privilege deciding not to intervene. A lack of diversity does not excuse cooperation with cruelty, and it makes resistance more important. Cities like ours can no longer say, this isn't happening here. Our resources, our police, and compliance have helped tear families apart. When a government agency functions like a modern secret police force, history gives us a very clear language for that, and the Nazis relied on obedience, fear, and the belief that legality equals morality. We know how that story ends. Cooperation is participation, and silence is endorsement. Years from now, no one will ask whether ICE followed procedure. They will ask whether leaders in places like Hudson, safe, quiet, and overwhelmingly white, had the courage to say no when it was easy to look away. I urge this council to refuse cooperation with ICE and to make it clear that the city will not trade its conscience for comfort. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Maggie, and I live downtown Hudson, and I'm standing here today as a constituent and a concerned citizen. We are already seeing negative...
Maggie?
Yeah.
Last name, please.
Wells.
Wells?
Yes. We are already seeing negative impacts on local businesses, safety, and morale with ICE in our community. We have residents who aren't able to safely attend school or work, and local businesses have already shut their doors. The residents of this community need transparent and accurate reporting of ICE action within our city. We need local law enforcement to stand with us while we exercise our constitutional rights. We need local policies that limit cooperation with ICE. We are not stronger and we are not safer with them here. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie.
Hi, my name is Ben Bruntmeyer. I live at 1515 Pinewood Lane, or also 1117 6th Street. Today, I was accosted by 2 armed ICE agents after dropping my kids off at school. I saw them in the Hanley Place senior apartment buildings and thought it was a little weird, so I drove past again to just see what was going on. And they backed their car up super fast, tried to run into me, and both hopped out of their cars to question me. Stuck their phone in my face. The other one pulled his gun out. So, I ask you, what is the line for Hudson? Where do we stop, right? Because if they are doing this to me, an American citizen, somebody who's lived here my whole life, somebody who's lived in Hudson for 10 years, right? Where does it end? They will kill another person. And if we do not stand up and stop it, the blood will be on all of our hands. The people behind me right here, they all came here for the same reason. To stop this like, what is this? This is just sheer terrorism. State-sponsored terrorism, and our law enforcement is standing by and watching it happen. I had one of our own officers today follow me, right? After this incident, as I was on the phone with the police department, I was instructed to go back to Hanley Place and speak with the police there. And I was accosted by one of our own police officers for doing exactly that. He blamed me for having this situation happen, right? They're not following laws. I watched them today speed through on Hanley Avenue, Hagen Avenue, on Industrial Street, doing 45, 50 miles an hour. That's a 25-mile-an-hour street. What we all want here is for them to be held accountable to the same laws, the same standards that any of us would be, right? I'll leave it at that because I think it speaks for itself, you guys. This is insane, and we can't let it continue.
Thank you. All right, next.
Good evening. My name is Bill Cadjo. I'm a 20-year-plus resident of Hudson. I think I would just say ditto to everything I've heard, but maybe something the council and the police chief here could answer for and clarify for the citizens of Hudson and the community. Maybe even St. Croix County, but I guess that's out of your purview. Clarifying the position that the police, whether local or county, will take on ICE raids on citizens and immigrants who are being accosted with their, even though they're citizen or they have legal status. The recent ruling by a federal judge on the situation in Minnesota should give some backbone to some people that ICE is in the wrong, right? That judicial position stated quite clearly not to harass people exercising their First Amendment right, not to harass people with freedom of assembly, not to follow people even if they're following ICE, not to take people off the street without due process. That should give something maybe on an action item for your council to decide. What are you going to do? You can't help the mendacity of the guys here. They're cheating, they're lying. You can't help the mendacity of the president and the administration, right? But you should know damn right well it's wrong. Yeah. You should know that. Yeah. And even though you might say always there's gray issues, when the right and wrong is so clear, there is no gray. Yes. Okay? So with that, Hudson PD, St. Croix County, again, I kind of put you in one basket. You're following Wisconsin law. You're following serve and protect Wisconsin residents and to uphold the Wisconsin Constitution, or you're going to follow mendacious, illegal executive orders from a president that is doing everything he can to split us apart. We are a tight community. Immigrants mean things to us. I am an immigrant. My grandparents came here from Italy. Stephen Miller gets his way, I won't be American enough. Yep. So, like the people said, the analogies with Nazism are clear as a bell. Right and wrong is clear as a bell. Now is the time for our elected officials to show courage of where their clarity is on moral issues that should be undisputably clear as a bell. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for your service to Hudson. My name is Jessica Higgles. I own a business at 1800 Cooley Road. I came here tonight to speak on behalf of the service industry of Hudson. I have been a member of the service industry for over 20 years. As a business owner, I am seeing my fellow business owners suffer financially as well as emotionally because of the pressure that we and our employees are under. The service industry operates on the backs of immigrants. Yes. And Hudson is a city that thrives because of our service industry establishments. We are known for our food scene, we are known for our restaurants, and we are a destination because of those. Our important businesses in this community are being negatively impacted because of the presence of ICE. Our employees are not able to go to work. Our businesses are not able to operate. I would ask that this council and this city take a stand and let ICE know that their presence in this community is no longer positively affecting us, arguably it never did, but is having a very strong negative impact on the economy and on the morale of this Golden Rule City. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Hello, I am Hannah Jung. I'm a small business owner and I also live in Hudson, 510 6th Street. Since we are Golden Rule City, meaning as posted on the City of Hudson official website, the Golden Rule, it's simple. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Does that not include our brown and black neighbors? We know running a small business, particularly in winter in Hudson, Wisconsin, or the Twin Cities, is hard, especially right now. Silence isn't neutral. We acknowledge what's happening. We're thinking of our community and holding space for anyone impacted right now. We see what's happening in our community, and we care. You're not alone. We see you. We're here. This is about community and humanity, and we stand with our immigrant neighbors and fellow small business owners. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I have a comment.
Excuse me.
May I? Yeah, come on up.
I'm Paul Anderson. I've been a resident here for 85 years. Sounds terrible. A landlord for 60, a probation officer for 30, and a professor for 5. So I've had kind of a full life, and I'm still working. The sad part, the reason I'm speaking is I have a couple hundred rental units, and there's about 50 Latinos, and 25 have already been shipped down to Mexico or Ecuador or somewhere like that. And these are all good, hardworking people. No crimes of any sort that I'm aware of. And they just been taking them off the street. This Ecuadorian shop, the wife and the 18-year-old daughter started that. ICE came in and just picking them off on the street, and right now I talked to them. They're down in Texas waiting a shipment to Ecuador, and that's just one sad story. There's several like it. So I guess I think the simple answer is reduce the funds for ICE, and some type of amnesty I think should be granted for people that are in fact qualified and hardworking.
Yes.
So. Okay.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Miller. I live at 114 Dunbury Pass in the city of Hudson. And I just want to read a quote from the Brooklyn Park Police Chief in case anybody missed it in the last 24-hour news cycle. He is on record saying, "We're hearing people being stopped with no cause and being demanded to show paperwork to determine if they are here legally. We started hearing this from our police officers, the same complaints. Every one of these individuals is a person of color." So this is a police chief going on record saying this. I would ask that the city of Hudson, that the police department of Hudson take similar action, make a similar statement, calling out the terrible behavior by ICE. This is not okay. It's terrifying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I wasn't going to speak, but I feel compelled. My name is Louise Doby. I've lived in Hudson for 40 years. I'm a retired attorney, a former prosecutor, and I am outraged at how the lack of due process under the 14th Amendment, the lack of probable cause to pick up people as immigrants under the 4th Amendment have been breached. The law has been trampled upon. And the cruelty of throwing people onto the ground, there are people with broken noses and cracked jaws. The cruelty is so unnecessary. ICE is not a law enforcement agency. They are an immigration agency. They do not have the ability to do traffic stops, and they're required to have a search warrant or an arrest warrant to enter into a premise, a private premise. And they are not showing search warrants or arrest warrants because they are not targeting most of the detentions and abductions that they are committing. I have seen these people in our community amassing staging in the Aldi's and Azul parking lot. I have seen them behind Chipotle and Sapporo. They're staying at the Hampton Inn. We know that they're here in our community, and they do go 50 miles an hour down Hanley Road. They blow through red lights. But the one thing that I want you to consider is that in the 2020 census, Hudson had 10 to 11% of our population as non-white. I looked it up yesterday. Our current population is 15,175. So we're over 15,000 people. 10% of that is 1,500 residents of our city are at risk of being picked up because they are not Norwegian white.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody else? Any other comments?
I'll try to be as quick as possible. I work in the food rescue industry. My name is Christopher Krieger. I live at 24/7 Highland Circle here in Hudson. And the work I do, we work with the food shelf that's here in Hudson too, as a partnership. And one of our volunteers was taken by ICE, a volunteer who was completely legal and had a visa and is now waiting to see a judge in Texas. This could happen to anyone. He was completely legal, and he doesn't know how he's going to get back here, or if he's going to go back here, or if he's going to go back to his native country. But he was here legally, and I don't want to see anything like this happen in Hudson, because that absolutely sucks. And so we need to be aware of that. And as much as I haven't historically loved police, I've had a really good relationship with the police in Hudson. I think they've done a great job. And I just want to see that continue. And I don't want to see that to happen to our food shelf here, or any nonprofit, or any business in the city. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Emily Janish. I've been a resident of the Hudson community for over 22 years now. And I can agree with what everyone here has said today and tell you that my father is an immigrant of the United States. I wouldn't be alive if he hadn't come to this great country. And he has chosen to leave the city of Hudson and to go to another state because he doesn't feel safe here anymore. He may not be returning here as a result of this. So I urge you to think about what this is doing to families here in our community. Yeah. And how they no longer feel safe here because we're not standing up and doing something about it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Any other comments? Any other comments? Any other comments? Hearing none, citizen comment portion of the agenda is closed. I want to thank everybody for coming up and speaking. Appreciate that. Next up is the consent agenda.
Approve the meeting minutes from the December 8th, 2025 regular council meeting and the December 15th, 2025 council meeting. Approve the claims in the amount of $13,719,000.
If you would, please try to be quiet on your way out so we can continue to conduct business. I appreciate it. Thank you all once again for being here.
Approve the claims in the amount of $13,719,304.66. Approval of the updated investment policy. Approve request for proposal for municipal investment broker services. Approve Bolton and Mink LOE for $56,900 for the 2026 pavement reclamation and trail maintenance engineering services. Approve Bolton and Mink LOE for $35,200 for the 2026 mill and overlay engineering services. Approve the purchase of a new tandem axle truck from Nest Truck Group Incorporated in the amount of $171,980. Approve the purchase of a tandem axle dump box and plow setup from Universal Truck Equipment in the amount of $202,948. Approve final development plans for Texas Roadhouse at Hudson Center Lot 7, Unit 3, Dave Robson.
Move for approval.
Second. Motion and second to approve consent agenda. Roll call.
Morissette?
Yes.
Wakefield?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Yes.
Brooke?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Motion is approved, consent agenda is approved. Application for Class B beer, Class B liquor license for Texas Roadhouse Holdings LLC.
So I worked with them. They sent in an application, and this would be just to grant the license for them. We can't issue the license currently because they don't currently have a building or a Wisconsin agent. So this license would be the original liquor license that was revoked from Bennett. So this would be, we would grant the license. If the council grants it to them, it would be basically a placeholder. Then at renewal time, they would have to renew, still fill out a license, and then once the building and they get an agent, they would have to refill out an application and comply with all the standards for the Class B. So it's basically a placeholder for them to move forward.
So moved. Do you need a time frame?
They're hoping, I don't remember what she said actually. I don't know.
That are planned, didn't
Yeah,
they?
okay.
6 to 8 months.
6 to 8 months.
Well, we gave a year for the previous one.
Yeah.
So
You
I
want that in the
don't
rec-
need a time frame, I don't think.
You want that in the record?
I thought they said like November.
Yeah, I was thinking the beginning, a year.
You're saying they'll be open? They're hoping to be open by then?
I'd heard that months ago.
I thought, yeah.
Well, I'm just remembering what we provided for the potential boutique hotel and supper club at the Tolgren building.
Correct.
Well, how was that different, Becky? Did we issue or
They
we just?
physically have a building.
They already have
a
a building.
premise.
Then they're just remodeling.
Correct.
So we're able to actually issue it.
Yep, and they
whereas-
had an agent.
Okay.
Yep.
Does this require a time frame? I mean, if it's been approved, be built, do we have to put a time frame on the hold?
I guess, I don't think so. I mean, it's to your discretion.
I'll leave it as is. The motion.
Second.
All right, motion is second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is approved. Discussion and possible action to develop a request for proposal for use of Buckeye Garage.
Good evening, everyone. So, coming up here tonight to just seek some guidance from the council. Obviously, in my issue sheet, I put in there that we've had a couple of interested parties approach the city to use Buckeye Garage for kind of a private use. And I know during the development of the Lakefront Vision Study, it was identified in that plan to possibly turn that garage into some type of community space or some type of food or beverage garden. And so, you know, because it is a public space, we do have to go through a formal RFP process. We can't just pick and choose who goes in there. And so I guess I'm coming to you tonight to just see if this is the time to direct staff to put together an RFP to maybe just see what would be a good fit for that space, knowing that, you know, we are going to be moving forward with tearing down the old well house and, you know, is that a time where we kind of fix up the spot and, you know, have something go in there. So, I guess that's what I'm in front of you tonight. I don't know if Mayor or Brent, if you have anything to add at this point, but just kind of looking for open discussion on if now is the right time to do something like this.
So I would say that the reason this is here at this point is that, as Mike pointed out, when we did the lakefront study, one of the issues was that building, and it had been identified in the study that building could potentially be used for something, right? I mean, it's not being used for anything except for storage, I guess.
Yeah, correct.
And we did have some people come forward and say that they had a proposal for the building. Well, we can't just do that without doing an RFP. So thought it would be best to at least propose an RFP to see what may come in. Might have a lot of different ideas on how to use that building. And doesn't mean that we have to approve any of them, but at least we can see what type of interest there is out there and see if there are any good ideas that we think would be compatible with lakefront and with our intentions for the building.
Yeah, as far as storage is concerned, obviously with us moving into the new facility here in the near future, I mean, that'll open up a lot of the space that we utilize. Obviously, we do enter into an agreement with the St. Croix Sailing School. They utilize a couple bays for dinghy storage over the wintertime. But that's kind of what the current use is being.
The Y Camp, though, in the summer uses that as well, too, don't they?
Not so much.
Not as much as summer?
Not so much. Not since I've been here. It's been primarily utilized by the St. Croix Sailing School. Yeah. They go in there for if like there's inclement weather, and then they utilize it in the wintertime for storage. We do have a lease with them.
Sorry.
With the RFP, like, would that be potential to have multi-use where if it's developed that there would still, I worry about the storage because that is a very beneficial summer program. To lose that part of it, and so if it becomes some kind of outdoor, eating area, so that if there'd still be a portion that could be dedicated, I don't know, for
the proposal that we've seen is actually coming from the person that's involved with the sailing school.
Okay.
But that's not to say that it would continue to be used for the sailboats, in fact, and it could be potentially depending upon, how it's built out, if it's built out, if we decide to do something. But he had indicated that they had storage space at the Y Camp that they'd utilize in the past.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. That's
My concern, I have no problem bringing it out to RFP, but the historical nature of that building, I think, and the vision that we had many years ago about developing that into a beer garden, eating establishment, or a community gathering spot, Booyah could go down there, whatever. I think we need to keep it within the city's control, but entertain the RFP and then somehow make it rentable, almost like we do with the beach house.
Yeah, and I think it's consistent with what the proposal is so far, but again, we can't just grant somebody use of that facility without all.
No, it'd go through the same process we do at the beach house.
And we don't have to approve anything,
Right.
But I think we've been sitting on that for how many years now since we had that proposal come in, the lakefront study. And it would be good to at least generate some ideas and see what people have, see how creative people can be. But I would agree with it, needs to be consistent with what the city's intentions are for the building.
So to even take one step back, maybe state the obvious, the intention is it's going to remain city land and city building owned?
It's parkland. Yeah.
Parkland, okay.
Yep.
But a possible, I guess we'll see what comes in, right?
Yeah.
But the idea that before we start bringing the restrooms and the whole structure, taking the well house out and changing it, might there be a private individual where we could do a 5 or 10 year lease where they could do the improvements to that building that are needed, rather than we design it and think this is the greatest and it eliminates what someone else wants to do. If someone's got a plan and wants it, like Randy with the bathhouse, that's a year by year lease. And it's kind of, here's your structure, do whatever you can do inside of it, but possibly open it up to someone that wants to put some money into it for us.
Yeah, we want to be cognizant of the repair issues and bringing that building up to code based on the use, right? And the RFP would have to spell that out as far as who's going to be putting in the money to make this a usable space. And I think
it's in a floodway as well.
It's in the flood. That's a whole nother ball. It's in the floodway too. And
it would be a private
challenges.
A private thing, but with our partnership as we are the oversight of the project.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You alluded to some of the questions that I had was, what repairs need to be done? What would need to be done to turn it into a beer garden or something like that? Would there be TIF funding that would be available that might work for something like that?
Yeah, as in the TIF is down there.
I mean, if we're going to own the building, then we could, that might be something to consider for the council.
And the other avenue that we can explore is pursuing like a historical registration on the building, and then opening itself up to some grant opportunities for redevelopment or fixing up. So, there's some different avenues that we can try to generate some funds, but I think the main thing right now is just to kind of get the RFP out there just to see what interest there is, and if there is, if it's worth our time to explore those various funding options to bring the building up to speed. So.
I'll move to approve RFP to develop. Sarah wants to.
I'm sorry,
one
just one
second, Sarah,
logistical
we got a
question
motion,
for you,
just
if I
one
may.
second. Sarah, sure.
I can.
Yeah.
Hang on, just 1 second. We've got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Sarah.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Thanks for the clarification. Mike, how would the RFP process work? I mean, where do you post that? How would people find out about it?
Mm-hmm. Yep, so obviously, I'll probably work closely with Brent on this one, just because I know he does have some experience with his previous place of employment. But we would post it in the paper, obviously on our website. I look to see if there's any specific like business places where we can post that as well, just to try to cast a large net and get the most responses as possible. And then obviously reach out to the individuals that have expressed interest in the past to see if they are still interested. So try to get it out as many places as possible.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is approved. Thanks, Mike. Discussion possible action to approve resolution, are you up next too?
Yeah.
126, naming parcel 236-2078-53-000 at 2605 Sophia Lane as Atwood Park.
All right, so this is in front of you as a resolution tonight to, as the mayor stated, officially name the park in the Bella Rose subdivision, which has the new Quick Trip in it, as Atwood Park. And obviously, for a lot of you that have lived in the Hudson area for a long time, you understand the historical significance of that name and that land. And so I believe, Mr. Mayor, you do have a resolution in front of you to read if it is approved.
It's in there.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So for those of you that don't know, obviously that land was purchased from the Atwood family that had farmed that parcel of property for, I talked to Liz Moline, since the early 1950s, had original homestead on that corner, and was in the Atwood name. I did contact the developer and a member of the Atwood family to just run this by them to make sure that it was okay with both of them, and they were both on board with it. It was at the park board this last meeting, and everyone was unanimously approved that recommendation, and so it's in front of you tonight.
All right, so here's the resolution. Whereas the City of Hudson has acquired parcel 236-2078-53-000 through the Bella Rose development for the purpose of a public park to serve the residents of the City of Hudson, and whereas 40 acres were purchased from the Atwood family by a private party in 2019 for the purpose of residential and commercial development, and whereas the 40-acre parcel was the original homestead of the Atwood family and farmed for over 60 years, and whereas the park board, after reviewing the Atwood nomination information, determined the name has met the criteria for park naming, therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Hudson has officially named parcel 236-2078-53-000 and forever will be known as Atwood Park, recognizing the Atwood family as the longtime owners of the farm on the corner of Vine and Carmichael.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Thanks, Mike. Approve a conditional use permit and final development plan review for the Bernadette at 307-321 2nd Street and 100 Commercial Street, Aptton Park Development. Mike.
Good evening, Council. Obviously, this has been a discussion, presentation, changes over the last 4+ years, looking at this development concept. It does encompass an entire city block between 1st and 2nd and commercial. You'll recognize the parcel as where the old First State Bank was, or Associated State Bank, or Associated Bank, and the depot building. The proposal, since the last time the council has seen a presentation on this, has reduced its residential unit count down to 100 from 104, and has since increased the commercial space to include the entire frontage on 2nd Street. You'll see the notes on the 6 approved variances from earlier, well, I guess in 2025. I know there's going to be a lot of questions. The applicant is here to answer some of the more technical ones, if need be. The Plan Commission did recommend approval 5-1. So with that, I'll stand for any questions. Well, I guess the other thing to point out would be this is just development plans. They would have to still come back and have approved a developer's agreement, which would include whether there's a TID incentive or and the like. So there's interest in preserving the depot building, albeit they would have to move the building to a different location. It's been discussed that a potential opportunity would be at the end of St. Croix Street, which is where we had planned a trailhead facility in our waterfront vision study or plan. So that's, again, something that would have to be negotiated and then ultimately approved as part of the development agreement with Aptton Park.
So Mike, on this, it says approve the conditional use permit and final development plan review. Is that exactly what you want?
Yep.
Okay.
That was a recommendation of the Plan Commission.
All right, I will move to approve under the recommendation of the Plan Commission.
Second.
Got a motion, second to approve. Discussion?
I've got a question. Have there been soil samples taken around the old railroad building?
I'll ask Ari to come in.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Ari Peretz, founder and president of Aptton Park Development. Thank you, Councilmember Hall. Yes, we did extensive soil sampling across the entirety of the site.
And what have you found in that particular area?
There's cleanup that we need to do.
What kind of chemicals have you found?
It's difficult for me to recite off from memory, but because of the many decades of heavy industrial use from the rail yards and from the lumber yard and on and on and on, certain levels of contaminants were identified in excess of residential thresholds. Mm-hmm. And so as part of this redevelopment, as the buildings are coming down and the site's being graded, all of the dirty soil is getting hauled off at the same time and replaced with clean fill suitable for the redevelopment.
How deep will you
go? Essentially just above where the floodplain line is.
Okay. So all of the soil has to be removed then from that whole city block?
Yeah, it's tested as it comes out because you can only take certain samples, and that by necessity isn't going to cover 100% of the site. It's designed to just be representative. Yes. And so we have on-site soils engineers throughout the entirety of excavation looking and testing to make sure that whatever's getting hauled off is going to the appropriate site. Either a landfill or a special facility or being reused as clean, depending on what it actually is.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes, I have quite a few comments, so I thank you. First of all, after being elected in the spring of 2022 to serve on the City Council, I believe that Ari and other associates were here in May already presenting just as a presentation to the council. And we had an opportunity to ask a few brief questions, but it was sort of an overview as a courtesy to the council, which I appreciated. And then this fall, we had another similar presentation when they reactivated their application with adjustments made after the court case was decided over the DNR position. So really, this is our first time. While it's easy to think, oh, this has been discussed so much, so many meetings, mayor's chaired many meetings about it. Councilmember Morissette has attended Plan Commission and had many opportunities to discuss it. It really is our first opportunity to discuss it as council members. And I do feel that the weight falls on us in terms of zoning decisions in development like this, because we are the ones that were elected to serve. The other individuals are very qualified, hardworking, lots of meetings. They're appointed by our mayor. So I think we bear a special responsibility, and so I think it's important that we do discuss it and not just, rubber stamp that, oh, everything's fine, nothing to see here. So thank you for being here again tonight, and so that we can discuss it further with some questions. I'm going to start out with something positive, and that is that I think the development team and the architecture team worked hard to make the facade of the building look somewhat historic. I believe the comments were that we're not trying to mimic exactly downtown Hudson, but to sort of reflect that age and the era, and there's some arches and things like that that have been part of the design. And I do appreciate that's an attempt to fit into our historic downtown, which I think we all know that's highly valued to our residents. It's not just the business owners and the people who operate in the downtown area economically, but those of us who enjoy Lakefront Park, et cetera, consider that an important part of our town. Just right now, it's lit up with all the lights that the Chamber of Commerce has provided for us so that we can enjoy it. So, downtown Hudson really belongs to everybody, is how I look at it, because it's adjacent to the jewel of Hudson, which is Lakefront Park. So I think that's so important that we consider that. So after saying the appearance and the facade, my comment is it's bigger than I would like it to see. It obviously, they have gone before, the developer has gone before the Board of Appeals to try and to get the approvals for it to be that size. I wish it was not that big. I'm just going to make that comment. I think a 70-unit building would have come right in, met all our zoning. I'm sure it could have been done without needing those variances. I realize there are economic reasons that people choose to go as big as possible, but I think we have to consider the impact in our decision making for the city and how it impacts the downtown, the general downtown. So I'm not disputing what the Board of Appeals has approved. You all know that have sat with me here on the council that I've had my concerns about the Board of Appeals operating truly as a quasi-judicial body. I have attended and listened and read the notes from their meetings where they make references to the financial concerns about this building, and that is strictly not allowed. You're not allowed to consider financial considerations when you grant variances. So I do continue to be concerned about our Board of Appeals and some of the decision-making. But nonetheless, as we all know, we are not able to overturn anything that they've done. That's in our state statute. Their decisions stand. So I, again, just commenting on my thoughts about that. My concern tonight, though, in an area that I think is important, and I did bring this up in November, and I have to say I'm disappointed that it has not been put on the agenda yet, because at the first meeting in November, I brought forward a completely fleshed out amendment to an ordinance to our off-street parking to clarify what is meant under the B3 parking. And so I'm going to go into that in some depth right now. And yes, I have handouts. Some of them are basically the same that I gave you last fall. And yes, I was an elementary teacher back in the day. And I even used highlight this time to help you. Here's 2. And then I believe there's 5 copies here that can go around. Thank you. My concern is how I believe a decision was made, not by an appointed or an elected body. I believe it was made by administrative, I'll use that term. Perhaps it was legal advice from our city attorney to apply a rule that's in the B3 Central Business District to this residential building. I do have to pause one moment and say that I am glad to hear that this building will have some significant, I hope, significant commercial space, because that is one of my concerns, is that this is our central business district, and an entire block of it is going to be turned into residential, a multifamily 100-unit building. And that's land we can't get back. We have made a commitment. I realize in the future there may be different decisions, but right now the current council has chosen to be committed that we're not going to make a block up the hill here, maybe 4th and Locust, and make that a nice little business section. That's a residential area, and we want to respect that. So when we're bringing in a large multifamily building into taking up an entire block in downtown, that's commercial space we won't get back. So I do appreciate that has been adjusted, because I think there was a temptation to just go all residential. I believe, I'm assuming that there's more financial return on the rents of residential properties, multifamily, than a commercial. I don't know all the details there of why they chose that. But in what my concern is that the B3 Central Business District has off-street parking rules that are designed to enable sharing of the parking. And if you think about our typical businesses, you might stop at a gift shop to pick up something, get a prescription, have something to eat, coffee shop, dinner, you may stay longer. People who go out in the evenings, on the weekends, maybe multiple hours parked. But there's a rotation of cars coming and going. And residential parking is quite different because it involves people parking and staying, like overnight or several days, or on a cold weekend, I might not leave the house at all. So we need to be certain that we have enough parking for this size of a residential building. So I have kind of outlined in just sort of a simple form here the basic breakdown of under our zoning code 255-48, and then it's H, it lists the categories of off-street parking. So number 1 is residential, 2 institutional, 3 business and commercial. Residential has its own category for a reason, because people stay there. People come. So as you all know, I'm speaking mostly to the public. I know as elected officials, we're well aware that a multifamily building in Hudson, anywhere else in Hudson, is required to have 2 parking units per bedroom, per unit, for a single bedroom, and 2 parking spots also for a 2-bedroom apartment. If it's a 3-bedroom apartment, they have to have an additional spot. So there's a reason. There's been some thoughtful consideration on how much parking. I mean, these guidelines that are in our code, there are ordinances. They didn't just pop up with those. Did you know that for a bowling alley, you need 5 parking spots per lane? Think about it. You got your bowling team, they come in, you need parking. It's specified, if it's a dental office, you have a certain, per dental chairs, it's dictated how many spots you need. So if you look at my breakdown on this most simple sheet, under 3, all the way down under number parentheses S is all parcels in the B3 Central District, and that goes on to, I have highlighted that, so it's like on the 3rd or 4th page. It goes on to, maybe the 5th page, it's highlighted in blue, where it's all parcels in the B3 Central Business District shall be exempt from the provision of off-street parking. So I know that there has been a ruling applied to this property, and I don't believe that the Plan Commission ever discussed it. They were just told it. They were told this is the rule. They have been cleared for this. And I know that even at the most recent public hearing, the city attorney provided the input that this ruling applies to any land use. And I feel that we need to clarify that in our code. I don't think that has been granted to other projects that have been brought forward. And so if it's suddenly being applied to this very large building, that does concern me. The idea behind the fact that they only have to provide half as much off-street parking as if they were somewhere else in the city and what they would be required, it's reduced because we're going to share. We have some municipal parking lots. We have areas on street parking. People can park in the neighborhoods and walk. But I feel that has been applied without enough discussion. It's sort of a ruling that was handed down, and the Plan Commission adopted it, and quite frankly, it led to the resignation of a Plan Commission member who had served as an elected official in many other ways. Just very unhappy about that ruling. But that's a side point. That is why I brought this up in November, because I thought it was important for us to discuss it, and I think as a council we should dig into this area of the parking, because one of the issues, as we all know, especially people who have been involved for years, is there is also under parentheses S a big list of things about how we can collect fees from people towards a municipal parking. It's what's called a parking improvement fund is available, and I think according to our code, we're supposed to review that annually and to see if we're charging appropriately, and I think we as a council should have a report on that and some decision making, because if I'm not mistaken here, it's maybe $8,000 per stall, something in that range, if someone is not able if they don't have enough space to provide the parking that they're required to, then they kick that money into the fund, and those funds are designed to purchase and create more parking, more municipal parking in downtown. Well, as real estate prices have gone up, I think it's not feasible, the amount that we're charging. It's not a realistic fee. Where will we find land? How will we build? Actually, I've seen in Public Works what it costs for 2 lifts of asphalt. How are we going to make parking with that fund? What are we doing with that fund? And again, I'm taking this opportunity now to speak about it because I did ask for it to be on the agenda, and I provided the ordinance, and our code does specify that if we bring that in writing, that it's supposed to be assigned to a committee. So I have been disappointed that that did not move forward, so that discussion perhaps, again, but I think it is worth thinking about tonight, because this is a very large building, and residential parking, I'm going to use the phrase apples and oranges. Apples and oranges, comparing residential parking needs to business, commercial, restaurant, gift shop, stop at the drugstore sort of needs, because residential parking leads to overnight and more extended parking. So my biggest concern, again, I know there's been many parking studies done. We have a committee of people that meet regularly, business owners and other volunteers. There's a council member that's appointed to serve with the downtown parking. And so they are often addressing and looking at daytime, but I want to challenge to say, have we spoken about overnight parking? I've lived in Hudson for many years, and it was only recently that I realized that there's no overnight parking in downtown Hudson. The streets are cleared from 2:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the morning. You are not allowed to leave your car on the street in downtown Hudson. So I realize that the developers that have brought this project forward are very experienced in working in other communities. I have commented and resisted the phrase urban downtown to describe Hudson, because I don't think we're an urban downtown. We're a western Wisconsin small town. A lot of people, again, this is going to be sort of an upmarket building, which I can appreciate that they're trying to bring in amenities and make it very attractive. I don't believe those sort of people live in this area and have one car. I know that the developer has said that they are. So I'm just going to propose that, that we discuss that, and I would like to see the whole project. We've had a motion and a second, but I would like to propose that we postpone it so we can have a discussion as council about this, because it was batted around a little bit with the Plan Commission, but then again, the announcement was made, they've met their parking requirements. And that's because it was decided that, but again, this is partly why I made this. Yes, I was a school teacher. Residential, institutional business. The B3 Central Business District is under business. I don't think whoever designed that, and we do stand on the shoulders that people serve before us, elected and staff, that I don't believe that they intended at all that a 100-unit residential building would slide in here and fall under the purview of that B3 Central Business District 50% reduction. It's a reduction in the requirement. And obviously this project is moving forward. Lots of work has been done. So you might say, well, what are you hoping for, Joy? I am hoping for some discussion about this issue because I think it is a concern for moving forward. I also feel like in discussing it, if we feel that really, okay, you got a deal, perhaps we ask this project to contribute to our parking fund. Because, if we feel that we're overriding, again, I think that there's a lack of clarity here. I realize that you can't necessarily assign what the intent was, what the people that first wrote this whole division from S on down was all added in the last few years with the payment in lieu of parking. But I do think it's important for the council to address it. We've had a lot of feedback from the public. I think having a public hearing about the issue would be helpful to let the public speak to us. The public has had an opportunity to speak to the Plan Commission. The Board of Appeals has held a public hearing, but I do think that that's a way that we can feel like we've really addressed it thoroughly and given the public a chance to come forward. And again, as far as I can tell, this is the first time that this special 50% reduction was applied to a significant residential property. Prior to this, we've had condos that are 3 or 4 units in downtown. This is opening up a whole new ball game, if you will. And again, I consider residential parking and business parking to be apples and oranges. I don't think they were intended to be together. So I would suggest that we postpone our decision so that we could discuss it more and also consider if perhaps we should be charging that fee to the parking fund so that we have some hope of having more municipal parking. Because my concern certainly is for the residents who might have friends or family here for the weekend, and where are they going to park? Well, they're going to have to drive into the neighborhoods to park. Otherwise, they're going to be, if we have a snow event, cars are on the street. I've spoken to a number of people that have talked about the parking lot where the spirit cellar, the recreation, I can't remember the brewery or the distillery at the end, but the River Valley Athletic Club. That's a busy place at 5 in the morning on people coming to work out before they go to work. If they can't find a place to park in front of their business because that is a private parking lot, how are they going to maintain that? It's not great PR for Hudson if we're towing cars all the time because they're parking on the street when they're not allowed to, or they're parking in a private lot and that's affecting those business people. So those are my comments for tonight. I would ask for a friendly amendment that we postpone.
Not at this point, because we do have discussion now. So,
I have a question. How many parking spots are there? Can I just ask what the total of parking spots is there?
122.
And I want to say I appreciate the fact that when you came and presented the last time, we talked about the need for increased commercial on the first floor, and I think it was maybe 2 the first time, and now that entire first floor, so I really appreciate that. I appreciate that you adjusted the height, I believe was one issue for it was lowered that, so I appreciate that with 120 parking spots. Thank you.
I appreciate the dissertation from our elementary teacher. Thank you. But I do take exception, Joy, to some of the stuff that you said, because we've had countless meetings with a lot of discussion, and one in particular stands out when the whole place was filled with business owners and operators from downtown. And I would draw you to the record under the Chamber of Commerce and their comments that was made with the full board present as the president rattled off all the numbers and the statistics about what's happened downtown, what it's brought to us, and that they are all mostly in support of bringing this down here to keep that business alive downtown. It's been talked about, by all means, why not stop talking about it? Let's do this now. This came to us back in what, 24? When were you elected?
22, spring of 22.
So it's about 3 years old.
Yes, and that was my point, Randy, and I was in attendance at that public hearing that night, and I know there were many business owners. Again, my point that downtown Hudson belongs to the whole community, access to the park, etc., parkability. I don't think that this is enough parking. 122 units is a notch up from what it had been before. But everywhere else in Hudson, we have ascertained that a multifamily unit, it's usually a family, and there's 2 cars. We're just that kind of mobile society. We aren't an urban society, and therefore I think it is going to be underparked.
Well,
and so people are going to be out in the neighborhoods looking for places to park their cars.
I would challenge you, because we've had some exceptions in pay in lieu of parking.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had that development downtown a couple of different times.
Beg your pardon, say that again?
In lieu of pay, in lieu of parking, paying, the developer paid the city.
Yes, and how do you feel that fund is working?
I don't think we've really touched it unless we spent it on the new kiosk, but we're building that fund up for the potential of acquiring more land, the potential of a city parking lot structure. Don't
Has
know.
that money been reserved?
Is it designated? Yeah.
Oh, goes
Sure,
to the
and
utility.
I think it would be, I mean, I realize there is a regular meetings that I could inform myself more, but I think the council could stand to have a report on that and to determine, are we collecting enough? Are those fees high enough? Because the price of real estate, where are we going to buy an empty lot to put a parking lot, you know?
If I could just add, bear with me with my
Drink water.
bear with me with my voice, but in terms of kind of how we got here, when you look at the ordinance, section 255-48 sub H, which is the off-street parking space requirements, and then you go to sub 3, which is the business and commercial, and then you drill down to sub S, which is the language that's been highlighted by Councilmember Knutson in blue. This is what we had to deal with in terms of the ground rules for parking. All parcels in the B3 Central Business District shall be exempt from the provision of off-street parking for the first 6,000 square feet of building areas, except for new construction projects for which half of the off-street parking shall be required. So, all we have to look at in terms of directing an applicant is what our ordinances say. And the ordinance here, and we spent a considerable amount of time looking at this to make a determination as to whether it was correct or not, because we're aware of the concerns, is are we dealing with uses or are we dealing with parcels? And for whatever reason, when this provision was added, which I didn't add, and I don't think anybody on staff added, nor was here when it was added, the language says all parcels in the B3 Central Business District. And it doesn't say all parcels with a business and commercial use. It just says all parcels in the district. And so from my perspective, that language is really clear and unambiguous. For parcels in the B3 Central Business District, we have a rule and we have to apply that rule. Now, you can disagree with that rule, and if you don't like the rule, you can change it. That's a matter of policy for the council and discussion and decision that the council can make. But this application came in with that rule in place, and I can't get to the point where I look at it and say, based on the numbering, that rule is out of place, or that rule only applies when there's not multifamily. It's pretty clear to me, the language is pretty clear that for all parcels, which is what we're dealing with parcels, then we have to apply the rule. So that's how we got to the interpretation that we did, is that we have language that we have to deal with. And again, if the council wants to change that, the council can change it, but the council can only change it prospectively. It can't change the rules of the game on an application that's already been submitted. So that's the background. That's the why in terms of how we got to the interpretation that we did with respect to parking.
Well, and
Go ahead.
oh, thank you. I'll make it fast.
Okay.
With respect to that, I too kind of followed the path that you've brought us down on the parking issue, and to summarize my thought of what Nick has said is, it's, I don't want to say bait and switch, but the idea that we've laid out this roadmap for a developer to come in, and again, we could say it's, someone made a mistake back in 2017 or what have you, but it is what it is. And for a developer to come this far and for us to say, hang on, we're now going to change height, parking, etc., that concerns me. That doesn't make something right or wrong. I'm just saying that we could get in a lot of issues if we just sat here waiting for someone to bring something we don't like and say, no, we're going to find a rule to change so that you can't come here. I think that's dangerous. I also gave a lot of weight to the many meetings that Ari presented at that, to us, it's apartments, and it's more commercial. But to him, it's an investment. Again, we don't make decisions based on maximizing their return. But as an individual or a group of individuals who are investing in this, they've got a lot on the line. That's a lot of dollars sitting there. And for them to say, we're going to build something using our knowledge of other buildings similar in similar cities, we're going to build a apartment that just doesn't work, and parking's going to be a hassle. Nobody's going to rent. They need to make. My point is, I don't think for a second that they haven't gone over the same thing. They need to make it a rentable apartment building. So I put a lot of weight in that, thinking that that they came, they saw our numbers, and they still think it'll work. They know the lay of the land. They know that we don't have parking ramps all over. So it's a risk for them, but they're still putting their chips on the table for this. And my final thought on that too is that I wish decisions for us or for the city as a whole could be just nice and clean. It checks absolutely every box perfectly, and we're going to wait until that absolute, it's tied with a ribbon and it's perfect. I don't know if a development that means this much to the city and for the future, I don't know if it's ever going to be absolutely perfect. We've seen that where there's been give and take, a lot of give and take on their end, and some by the city. The DNR has approved what they've done. I know that doesn't go into the parking end of it, but it's not just a few unelected people making some of these decisions. The DNR said, you have our blessing. So, will there be some hiccups, et cetera? Yeah, there is with a 400 square foot store that opens up that didn't figure out parking correctly or the flow of traffic or whatever. So at some point the city has to say, is this the project for us, or do we just say no, let's keep moving, let's wait, because I think that bank will be sitting here for another 20 years. I was in New Richmond, no offense to anyone from New Richmond, but they've got blocks of empty storefronts. They would really love an injection of citizens to be living downtown. Again, we don't have to give in to every little thing, and we definitely haven't. But I think on this, I don't know how much closer the two parties can come. Again, we fight about parking for 20 years, and there it sits, and they pack up their bags and go. So that's my opinion.
Okay, I share Joy's concerns because I'm looking at this going, all right, 122 spots for 100 units. That just it seems awfully low to me with because you're going to have all these 2-bedroom units and things like that. And then, where are the guests going to park? We've already got problems with downtown parking being overcrowded. But then we also have retail customers coming in as well, and so where are they going to park? But then across the street, we've got Hop and Barrel planning to put in possibly a restaurant or a banquet venue and things like that. Where are the people going to park that are going for Hop and Barrel? So, I mean, I know that that's not the problem for the developer, but that is our problem. And I think that we do need further discussion on this to make sure that we really understand how this is going to impact the parking situation in there. But but then to Mike's point, I do see this as a benefit. We've with 100 units, we'd have probably 150 people living downtown, which would be really great for the downtown businesses. Walkable, and this is what we want: is a walkable city, and people encouraged to walk. So I see that as a benefit as well. So, but I really do think that we need a better discussion on the parking situation.
If I could chime in here, I think I have this unique situation where was a business owner in downtown Hudson for almost 20 years. I'm a downtown resident. And so I look at it through both of those lenses, and I certainly represent the downtown community, which involves business owners and residents. And I also echo gratitude for the work that Ari and his team and the Gagnon family for listening to the concerns that residents have brought forward, for making the apartment smaller. Is it perfect? No. Is anything ever perfect? No, but I echo what my colleague Mike Kennedy said, where it's probably never going to be perfect, and this might be as close as we can get. And this is a community member who also loves Hudson and wants to do what's right for the community. Feet on the street, make it safer, and will help our community be vibrant. All of that being said, I certainly am open to having another hearing if that is something that I've heard both from Joy and Joyce. That is something I'm always open to getting citizens' feedback, but I think this is as close to perfect as we're going to get. Would I like it to be 75, 80 units? Yes, that would be my first choice. I just don't think that's going to work with this developer.
So I've got a couple things. First of all, I do find it kind of humorous that as we're talking about parking, that Hop and Barrel came up. And because while that discussion was going on, I was waiting for the parking discussion to happen, and it never happened. And that was in the midst of what we were talking about here with the Gagnon project. And here comes the extension of the license to additional property over there when they're talking about an event center for events, and nobody brought up parking.
I thought I brought that up.
I don't recall that. I don't remember hearing that. It certainly wasn't much of a discussion.
It certainly was something that I was thinking about.
It wasn't, it certainly, if it did come up, it wasn't a discussion like we're having here right now.
No.
Well,
and that was for a lot of people. That's number one. Okay, number two is this. Just as a reminder for this discussion, as well as for future discussions, I would like to remind everybody about the lot across the street. When we raised the old fire station and created additional parking over there, part of that discussion had to do with whether we were going to put a parking facility in there. And we had determined at the time that if we, for future needs, if we needed additional parking, we could put a deck above that entire lot across the street, which would render, do you remember how many stalls, Mike? Well, ballpark 70, maybe more. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and that was something that the parking utility could take up. So it's not like we would have to go out and purchase additional property. We have the property here. We don't need a parking garage. All we need is a deck. When we talked about garages, we talked about safety and things like that, and whether people would actually use a multi-level parking garage. And we had discussions about, like Stillwater, where people just didn't feel safe in using a garage at night, things like that. So a deck, on the other hand, is a whole different issue. So just as a reminder, again, for this discussion as well as for future discussions, that is an option, and that's something that the parking utility as well as the council could take up if we feel we have a need for additional parking here in downtown. Anybody else? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
No.
All right, motion's approved. Certificate of compliance and final development, plan review, am I on the right thing? Yeah. Of Stage Line Eco Apartments at 472 Stage Line Road, Girard Development LLC.
All right, another multifamily project, this one on Stage Line. I think the council is somewhat familiar with this one. It's 38 units. The Girard brothers are the developers of this project. The eco component really is a reflection of the desire to, or the intent to include a solar array on with the building, and that's kind of the nexus for what they're proposing. There was some good discussion at Plan Commission surrounding kind of what the impact would be on Stage Line Road, where we've had comments in the past historically about speeding, design, what that looks like. Their development team is here to answer any questions on that. Included in your issue sheet and in the packet is an analysis of from their engineer on the proposed expansion of Stage Line Road, which is consistent with the capital cost study that was done on the previous annexation proposal before the Gerards purchased this property. They are working with the town of Hudson because in that initial annexation, they didn't annex all the way to the center line. So technically that roadway access is controlled by the town. So they're working diligently with them, and we're going to be at the same time coming back to the council probably here in the next few months. I know their board discussed it about a week ago, looking at the future maintenance agreement, access management plan with the town of Hudson too. So with that being said, it was recommended approval unanimously 6-0 for approval.
And the road part, if I remember correctly, it was more about the striping, correct? It's not going to add lanes. It was
striping.
Widen, but they're going to stripe it so that there's a turn lane and entrances and things, rather than just, it wasn't like they're widening the road to get a race car going through there.
Correct.
No, I specifically asked the developer to put more detail into the traffic controls up there, because we in the past we've got Mike and you both have issues of speeding and whatnot up there, and the blind side coming through off of there, so it'll be wider, but there'll be the turn lanes and hopefully slowing the traffic down.
I just want to make sure that's what I took away when I watched that meeting. Okay.
And have those changes that you just discussed last week at Plan Commission been implemented in what we're seeing here? No, probably not. The drawings.
It's not an updated plan. It's consistent with what we had, what our engineers recommended.
And so that's already been noted, and well, even though it might not be written in this issue sheet, it is part of the
Yeah, so we
requirements.
very well can make a contingent on making sure that it is very much included in.
Because they had to go to the town first, I think, to get that going before we could.
Been a busy week, right, and that we can't just quickly update everything. Well, I wanted to comment on that because it is true, as individual members of public safety and public works, we have talked about the safety of pedestrians, kids, junior high kids, whatever, riding bikes, trying to come into town from there. So it's definitely on our radar, so to speak, from both committees, and concern about it. Our city engineering staff has submitted applications in the past. I'm not sure if there's one pending right now for grant money for a potential funding for a bike and pedestrian trail out that direction. So again, that we could provide something that's more protected and allow accessibility back and forth into more of the heart of the commercial area. I did want to add a specification that any sidewalks here that, even though that extend and connect, that needs to be maintained by this development.
I'm glad you brought that up. Aaron brought that up to me this afternoon and said you might.
Yes, if that seems, because there has been an issue with Public Works with certain developments saying, well, we don't want to maintain our street. Mostly involves snow and ice removal in the winter. So it's an important issue, but I'd like to specify that in the plan.
I did ask the developer if they'd be open to maintaining that the sidewalk that connects over to, further to the east.
Yes.
They're agreeable to that. I think adding it as a condition is certainly appropriate.
Yes, because obviously they're going to, for their own residents, they'll be cleaning snow removal, and so if they could just be specified they have to take care of that extension, that would be helpful. Thank you.
And Gerard has been a great partner in the past projects they've done here.
Lots of good projects.
And they're willing to do this as well, so.
Yeah, sounds good.
So I'll move that we approve and also add conditions that were just discussed in that motion as far as snow cleaning, removal ice, and then the traffic.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we have motion second, discussion.
I have one clarifying point, sorry. Mike, could you just, I believe when I connected with you earlier, you mentioned that there might be some mixed use. Could you specify for the record, what that will look like?
No, that's not mixed use. There's no mixed use on this project.
Okay. I'm sorry. So then more of a designation for veterans or some component that's not involved at all?
Yep, they are. They set aside a couple units for veterans and specifically sometimes disabled veterans.
Correct.
How many units of that?
4.
4 of the 38 units would be set aside for those individuals.
All right. Thank you.
Anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. All right, department reports. Clerk. Becky?
We were notified last week that we do have a February primary coming up for the school board, so we are quickly preparing for that. We have absentee ballots go out no later than Tuesday, and we will start our election inspector training on Tuesday. And with that, then we're getting ready for right into April election, so we're right in kicking off, and we're waiting for our lovely new machine to arrive, so we're hoping it's here for February. Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Could I ask about the absentee ballots?
Yeah.
Do you have a fair number of voters who have a permanent request in? In other words, they're definitely confined, and therefore they're eligible to always get an absentee?
Yes.
You do have a certain number, and
Yes.
then also get new people apply each year. I mean,
Yes,
there are quite a few.
calendar year requests, so we're getting 20 to 25 a day.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So people, even for this primary.
The number is pretty low. I think we're at 300 right now, so it's pretty low.
Compared to
Primaries are pretty, spring primary is pretty quiet.
Sure.
Is it mostly in the senior living that?
That's our special voting deputies.
Okay.
So no.
Yeah, that's right. You go
Right.
out to them,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so they don't
No,
need
it's
the
not.
absentee ballots
Right.
in the same way. Yeah,
Correct.
Got it.
So for the permanent people, how do
Indefinitely confined.
indefinitely confined? How do we know when they're no longer voting?
So we get notification from the state.
Okay.
And then, or if an obituary comes along or whatnot. So we're checking that weekly, really, yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, thanks, Becky. Police report, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I don't have a lot to update you on today. We're end of the year from 25. We're working on our annual report from 2025. So I'll bring that here in the next month or two. I do want to give you a little bit of an update on the new building. The tear down and demolition, so to speak, is complete. The new lines for gas and electric are in. Underfloor plumbing and electrical is all complete. Concrete and masonry is all wrapped up. Interior layout is complete. They've begun, they're about 3/4 of the way done with their sheetrocking. The tube lights and the ceilings started painting today. The wash bay in the garage is complete. The new bracing is up. The ductwork and insulation is a work in progress. And we are on budget. So hopefully now that we're at the build back phase, there's not going to be any more surprises that we have to dip into contingency for. So we should be good to go. So
Excellent.
Excellent. Move-in date?
I'm sorry?
Move-in date?
June-ish.
June-ish?
Yeah, we're going to have to wait for the exterior work, the new asphalt and the fencing, until springtime. And as long as spring cooperates with us, we'll be in sooner. But I'm anticipating June-ish.
Perfect.
Chief, briefly, do you have an update on that missing persons?
I don't have an update. The last update I have is when she reached out to family. She indicated that she was safe. And basically, she does not want to be located. So
Thank you.
That's the best update I have right now.
All right, thanks, Chief.
Yep.
Fire Department, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. In front of you tonight is our monthly fire report for November and December. Please disregard the dates at the top. Me didn't catch that. So it is for November and December 2025, not 24. We did end the year, we slowed down a little bit at the end of the year. We were just under our record year of 2024, so we did take a little dip in calls, not by a lot. Even though we did slow down at the end of the year, we unfortunately had a fatal house fire in the town of Hudson mid-December, so we kind of did end the year in a down mood. We started off the year slow, and within the last 10 days, we've picked up in call volume. We had a very substantial fire in the town of Hudson last Friday at one of our local companies. That fire loss alone will probably exceed our entire fire loss for 2025. So things are not getting any slower. So the town of Troy is continuing to move forward. Their facility should be going out to bid here in January for their station. So hopefully they get those bids back and they get everything awarded and should break ground as soon as roll bands go off this spring. So that's moving along pretty good. Things are moving well. We're acquiring equipment and apparatus for that project. So I fully anticipate we will be ready for January 1, 2027.
Could I ask a question
Yes.
of you, Chief? On your, thanks for the colors here late in the night, that's helpful. But I was wondering if you could walk us through in the black box where you have the basically minutes en route, minutes to arrival, what all that means, partly for the public's education as we move forward with a survey that's going to be done by a PR firm. I think it's important for the public to know why we are discussing that we might need to
Correct.
have more hired staff. So could you explain those numbers and what that means?
Yep. So these are for calls just within the city of Hudson, and these numbers reflect for when the first suppression apparatus gets on scene. That's not a chief or somebody that can get there that has no firefighting capability. This is actually when a truck gets to the scene. So these are the 90 percentile numbers for 2025, and for all our emergent calls, now this is for emergent response calls, so all our non-emergency calls, everything, we take those calls out because obviously those times are increased for response times because you're not going emergent. But the 90th percentile to get the first truck en route is 12 minutes. So that's the time that we receive the call till we get enough personnel at the station to get the first truck on the road is 12 minutes. Our drive time is about 5 minutes within the city, so our 90th percentile from dispatch, the first suppression apparatus to get on scene is almost 16 minutes. So it's a substantial amount of time. With our staffing model, it's not anybody's fault, but we're being paid on call volunteers. Everybody's coming from different places, different times. Staffing is, all over the board, who's available when. And these numbers just, I put these numbers out just to show how long it's taking to get an apparatus or a fire truck to a call, and the reasoning why we want to move forward with some full-time staff at some point here in the future, and why we're going to go to referendum. It's for the safety of the citizens and for the property preservation.
It's a data point that's significant. I was interested once in a conversation with you when you told me what insurance companies look at. Is this the number they're looking at, and what are they, as they write policies for homeowners, property insurance?
This is a component of what they look at. It's an overall evaluation of the department that they look at. Your available water, which we have a very good water system in Hudson. Our pumping capabilities based on our structures in the community. So it's a lot of components, but it's the ISO rating, the Insurance Services Organization rating that they give the city. We're a 3 right now. And we maintained that 3 this last evaluation by about 0.76 of a point. So we were a point away from dropping to a 4. So we're trying to find ways to keep our ISO rating up, but response times is part of what they evaluate you on.
Sure, and that's a point of pride for your department that you work for, and it's a financial issue for property owners when they're purchasing insurance, because their rates might go up, and of course, most importantly, safety.
Correct.
For the people that you're serving and trying to get to their property as quick as possible. So, thank you for explaining that.
Anybody else? Thanks, Chief.
Okay, thank you.
Brent.
I'll go really quick. We do have police and sergeant union contracts now signed. So we're good for the next 2 years with wage reopener in year 3 of the contract. So it is a 3-year contract with a wage reopener. Staff's been back to work full-time now, or in the office for the last 3 months, and I think it's been working out pretty well. Helped finance director with the financial policies that were approved today. And I think I'll leave, oh, well, actually one more. The RFPs for AI services and database integration, we had quite a few responses. I whittled it down to 5 candidates, which are being reviewed by several departments now, and we'll have more in the future on that. We're just got to take it from 5 down to a few that we can bring in for interviews, and then we'll see where things go. And then we'll bring you back probably to finance in March, I would imagine, with the amount of what that might cost. And we can make a decision on that.
Anybody? All right, thanks, Brent.
Yep.
All right, closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 19.85 sub 1 sub G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved, 767 Malibu Drive. Closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 19.85 sub 1 sub G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved, 811 Malibu Drive. And closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 19.85 sub 1 sub G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved, 181 Carmichael Road, Holiday Inn Express, Hudson.
Move to go into closed session.
Second.
Motion and second to go into closed session. Roll call.
Morissette?
Yes.
Wakefield?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Yes.
Brook?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Motion's approved. We are now in closed session. Go across the hall.
We can
And nothing really to report out of the closed session.
Why is this echoing?
Your phone? It'd be good if we'd stop though.
Okay.
All right, comments? Sarah?
Yes, I would like to take a moment to thank all the citizens that came in at the start of the meeting to talk about their concerns, what's happening with respect to ICE in our community. I think that's incredibly brave. I think their concerns are valid and are worth either our public safety taking a first pass at this or talking about it as a council, especially as it relates to our zoning laws to make sure that we don't have an ICE detention facility in our community and the other concerns that they brought forward. This is especially near and dear to me. These are our friends, our neighbors, our family members that have a legal right here that are being mistreated, and that certainly is not reflective of the community that we are. And I ask that we bring this forward.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah. Anybody else? All right.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. We stand adjourned. Thanks, everybody.